But and we're going to start off with Bryce Young, the Heisman Trophy winner for 2021. Just a phenomenal athlete. You know what? I was trying to find a comp for him, and a little bit. You know what? It reminded me of kind of Deshaun Watson coming out of Clemson. Just that I think you mentioned there's a lot of intangibles with them. Dan Orlovsky compared him to Steph Curry, which I think is maybe a little bit too much. But what is your kind of like? What have you loved? What's giving you a little bit of trepidation about him?
Yeah, so in the football guide, we break this down and we try to do like strengths, weaknesses, and then we do give a comp. Comps are not my forte. Like I struggle with comps sometimes, but I think and I think Orlovsky, like when he's talking about that stuff, and I laughed when I saw that. Like I think he just means like his ability to move in the pocket and his ability to kind of be a playmaker and light on his feet. And he's a small stature. So like obviously one of the big weaknesses is his size. So I think, if he gets over 200, which hey, these guys that go into the Senior Bowl, they're eating their Wheaties and stuff because they hit all their weights. Like there was no like bad weights. Hayner hit his weight, like he was up there, and I'm like, whoa, where the hell did this come from? So if Bryce does that, so if we see him at the combine, he gets over 200. I think he could go one overall, like realistically. Now if he's under 200, I think that's where you're going to see him maybe dip a little bit. But like I think a fair comp for Bryce is Russell Wilson. I think that his ability to kind of move out of the pocket, he's not as big like stature wise, but I do think that his kind of Russell is best when he gets out of the pocket. Like that's what I think really struggled with this year. And so when you saw him even at Wisconsin, so like we try to do comps based on like their college tape. And at Wisconsin, where Russell Wilson was at, and NC State before that, like that's what he did. And Bryce does that very well. So out of structure playmaking is something I highlight really well with Bryce. Awareness, he's really, really good with the football. Like he only had 12 interceptions total at Alabama. Even though he threw the ball over 500 times his junior or sophomore year. So you're seeing that. I think that was really well. Accuracy, he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in this class. He's got good arm strength. He's got those things. I think the thing that hinders him the most is that his size leads to timing issues. Because sometimes I don't know if he can see where he's throwing the ball. There's a lot of times where he throws it to where his guy should be, but I think sometimes that hurts him because they're not there. And that's where we saw a couple of those interceptions that he had. A lot of missed throws came from that. So I think it's basically like, I don't know how realistically he can see over the line. Like they list him at 6 foot, but I don't think he's 6 foot. Like it would not shock me to see Bryce at 5'10", to be honest. So I think that's the question mark. And then he doesn't have the upside rushing. So from a fantasy perspective, he's not going to have that. Now, he can get out of the pocket and he can make guys miss. And he showed a little bit this year more. He had 4 rushing touchdowns, like 185 yards rushing. But that's the kicker, right? So we're talking about fantasy. We're not talking about NFL like area. And he's going to be limited there. So there's a lot to like about Bryce. Like he's my quarterback one, kind of like I have this thing with my co-host where they are CJ Stroud. Like they've been CJ Stroud QB1 for like 2 years, and I've just been Bryce for 2 years, and I don't want to give it up to them yet, but it wouldn't shock me to see Bryce go as quarterback 2 of this class, just because I know CJ's profile fits pretty well. But overall, Bryce is a solid solid floor, like a solid floor guy. Where if he lands into and I had this question the other day, we were at our pod. Jeff asked me, he said, is there any place where Bryce, if he got landed with landing spot wise, would he not be quarterback 1 for you? And I said, no, because I think he has the safest floor of any of these guys. So even if he goes to Carolina, goes to the Texans, goes to the Seahawks, goes to the Colts, like I don't see any spot where I'm like, oh, that sucks for him, because I think he can make anything work because he's so versatile.
And I don't see him going anywhere to any team that's going to be drafting at the top in the top 2 picks. Let's say that.
Yeah.
I don't see him going to a team where he's going to sit. So we're going to find out, and that's why he's going to be worthy of an early pick. That we didn't have that from last year's draft class. Nobody started right off the bat. So that to me with Bryce Young, I mean, he's such a playmaker. When things are really working, it's great. I mean, obviously he's going to need pass catchers. I know that the NFL as a the NFL draft community, the organizations are gonna worry about, Kyler Murray. He's dealt with injuries. Obviously, he's dealing with a knee injury right now that isn't necessarily because of his size. Tua, took some major hits. Some people are going to question whether, the concussions are as a result of his size. So, I mean, I'm with you. Jeff Christian, sorry, I'm with you. I'm picking Bryce as so I'm not gonna I'm not gonna cause a tie or anything like that. But I'll let you guys still hammer it out between the three of you. But no, I just think there's some playmaking ability in Bryce Young, and I still remember the game where he took apart that Georgia defense, that Georgia defense that had six guys who are starting in the NFL now, before all his receivers got hurt in the before the national championship game. So I really like Bryce Young.